But the biggest mistake you can make in having a spark like that is going all in on something, building a structure before you really have proof of concept. So it's like if you have a match and you light it, you strike a match, you have fire in your hand, and then you have a huge pile of wood, and then you just throw the match in. That's not gonna make a bonfire. That's not gonna light up. Probably the match is gonna go out the moment that you drop it. But if you take a match with fire, and then you take a piece of paper, something, or a leaves or something, and then you make sure that that's burning first, and then you put it on the fire, and then you see that, oh, now this log is on fire. Then you'll see that quickly, once you take those initial steps of having a match, the spark, lighting something small on fire, and then putting it into something bigger so it can just, then once it starts growing, the fire starts growing, the bonfire, it happens really quickly. But it would not happen if you actually were not watching the moment when you have this spark, the moment when you have the match, the moment when you transfer the fire from the first match and put something on fire. So entrepreneurial ventures work the same way. Proof of concept means that you want to take your idea and have as small a test batch as possible. So if I'm going back to your idea, like if you're going to do a tour of what's weird in Copenhagen, first you need to find the places yourself, then you need to make a list of them, and then you need to take some friend who's also like, yeah, I'll do that. And then you need to go find those, see who you meet, see what characters are there and all that sort of stuff. And then once you have that and everyone had a really good time, then you can get your first group of people. Make sure that they have a good time. And then how that turns into fire is like then you ramp up the marketing. Then you ramp up the maybe hire a second tour guide who you've taught the stuff to talk about and all that sort of stuff. But only then. If you go and you're like, I have this idea, I'm gonna hire a tour guide, and you send the tour guide off to execute your idea, no. But there's something about personally being involved in any sort of proof of concept exercise, which is any entrepreneur who started this way will say that they know their business from top to bottom, and they started at the bottom. They started with the idea as a spark at the top, but then they did the dirty work that it took to get that going. Like with my IT support staffing business, I was the first IT technician who found the remote contract he could work. And then when I was hiring the second guy with the second contract, I sat next to him for 2 months or whatever it was, and he learned how to do it from me, and we worked through all the issues, all the possible things that could go wrong. And then everybody who I hired in my team after that, they were doing some sort of replication, refined version of what I did, and I still know how to do pretty much every job in the company, at least on the internal side. And that's how it grows, and that's how you can lead something. You know that it's going to go, and it's going to eventually become something that's bigger than you, and you need to separate yourself from it eventually. But initially, you need to have a little sandbox. Here's my idea. This is what it's going to look like. And this is what a full iteration of this looks like. This is what needs to happen for me to know in my heart that this is actually a good idea. Because you'll have lots, if you're a really smart person, you'll have all of these ideas all the time on how you can make the world better, how you can solve problems. Because if you're that sort of person who thinks constantly about problems and how to solve them, that's what it takes to be a great entrepreneur. But what you actually need to be a successful entrepreneur is to be able to find the right solution for the right problem, and then find the people who that's relevant to and deliver it to them in a way that satisfies them. That's where the commerce happens. That's where people will pay you money, because you might have a great idea on how to solve a problem, but if nobody who has that problem wants to pay you money to solve it at that moment in the way that you're presenting it, you'll have a failure on your hands. And from every failure to have this concept reach its reality, you recalibrate. So you want to fail as fast as possible. Perfection is paralysis. If you want to wait until you have everything perfectly lined up before you do anything, you'll never do anything.